Today I'm talking with Jo Ryan about how to bring a shy child out of their shell. So Jo, how can you do it?
Being shy is a common problem for children, and if it's not dealt with properly, they can grow up to be quite shy adults. So the first thing is to never really label them shy, because often if you label a child as being shy, then they start using it as an excuse too. They say, well, I'm shy, so I can't do that. So it's good to never really, label them as being shy. It's also good to talk about when you were a child, so that if you found it difficult to do certain things, then they feel that they're not alone, that it is something that most people go through, and if mummy or daddy went through it, then it's okay. Another way of dealing with a shy child is to encourage them to do things that they enjoy and that they're good at. And if that's a group activity, that's great. And often children will make excuses why they don't want to go. Try and encourage them to do it. Don't force them, but really try and say, you'll have a great time when you get there. Let's just go and see how it goes. So if they're good at sport or even computer games or those sorts of things, encourage social activity around that. So get them to invite their friends over to play computer games, or their friends to go and watch a game of cricket or whatever it is, so that they're doing stuff around stuff that they feel confident about. Then when you're out around adults, encourage them to talk about that. So say, tell Mrs. Brown how great you were, or how you got to level 4 on that computer game. So rather than yes or no answers, tell John how that computer game works, or how do you win, or how do you, that sort of thing, rather than is it good, is it bad, yes, no sort of answers. If they don't talk, they don't talk. Don't force them, but just encourage them to do it.
Often I'll be in a restaurant and you'll see a child with a bunch of adults, and they'll be there with their suitcase of toys, and they'll get them all out on the table, and they seem to not interact with the adults because they're so absorbed in what they're doing. Is it a good idea for them to have all that stuff with them?
I think it's probably not a great idea to have a suitcase full of things. Maybe just one toy. Because being in an adult environment for a child can be really boring and tedious. I mean, going to a restaurant and listening to adults talk about what adults talk about at a restaurant can be quite boring for a child. So you need to give them something to do. So maybe one toy, maybe some drawing or some writing if they're that old. Things that will keep them amused without too much sort of effort involved. I think that's important. It's also good, though, to encourage children to speak to adults and to speak to answer questions when they're asked and that sort of thing. So maybe prompt the adult asking them the question to ask them about stuff that the child is really interested in and that they're good at, or that they're, some new thing that they've just started, something that they're excited about, so that it will prompt them to talk about it more rather than stuff that they don't know about or don't care about, or are too unsure of themselves to talk about.
Or to draw a picture and maybe go and give it to someone and tell them what it's about or something.
Absolutely. That's all really good stuff.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Jo. If you'd like to ask Jo any questions on shy children, then you can contact her on the email address below.